things, and you're on Bay FM 100.3, heart and soul of the Bay. My name's Kale, and I'm with you until 10.
So we just had a phone call from Elaine. Hi, Elaine. And she was asking about spinach and kale because before the break we were chatting about the thyroid problems. Mm-hmm. And when she's looked it up on the internet, there's a lot of information saying don't eat spinach and kale too much or it's going to mess with your thyroid. And when I had a chat to her, now, there's a big difference between organic veggies and non-organic veggies. So green leafy veggies are known to have a lot of pesticides on them. And quite often it's the pesticides and the insecticides that are what is binding to our receptors. Mm-hmm. If you imagine, once again, every single cell in the body, it's got up to 500,000 receptor sites. Mm-hmm. Those receptors are for everything. They're for oxygen, magnesium, zinc. They're for estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. They're for dopamine, serotonin. They're for everything we require to function all day, every day. So you can imagine now, compared to 10,000 years ago, our bodies are now breathing in a lot of toxins. We're eating a lot of toxins. We're drinking more weird stuff than we ever did 10,000. Let's face it. Yes, there's a lot of stuff in our environment and our foods that were we ever meant to utilize and detox? If that whole we are what we eat, what are we doing to ourselves? Not a lot we can do about a lot of it, but if we do at least try to buy, there's a list of foods called the Clean 12, and so basically you can go online and basically Google the cleanest veggies. So they're the ones that you can get away with buying without buying organic. So if you're choosing where to spend your organic dollar, it's a good idea to check out the ones that are the cleanest and that use the lowest amount of pesticides per weight. But the green leafies really are often the ones that have the highest amount of pesticides and insecticides in them. So they're the ones that it's worth spending that extra little bit of money. What I did do was just had a quick look. Some of the studies Elaine was mentioning, they have high levels of thallium in them. Now, thallium is an insecticide and it's been used for rat poison for a long time. It's actually been outlawed in the US, but it can cause issues. But it's still in our soils around the place. So a lot of kale and spinach has been found to have things like thallium in it. So I don't know whether it's not allowed to be used here in Australia, not sure about that one, but it can cause issues with the nervous system, the lungs, the heart, the liver, the kidneys. It can cause hair loss, diarrhea. So, there's all these sort of symptoms that once again, we might simply be taking, steroids for our lungs and cardiovascular, medications for our heart. But what if it's something underneath there that's a toxin that's in our body? So, and when it comes to that sort of detoxification, once again, there are some simple nutrients that you can do to really help your body on a daily basis start pulling out some of these toxins. So, for example, there's a herb called silymarin. Silymarin is a well-known herb. It's been used for thousands of years. It's a liver herb. It's otherwise known as St. Mary's thistle. So it's the sort of thing you can't overdose because it helps with things like fatty liver, better detoxification through the gut and the liver, and it also helps to speed up your energy metabolism. So once again, it's good for your thyroid, even going back to earlier on. There's things like glutathione, lipoic acid, and N-acetylcysteine. The three of these all work very similar in that they chelate toxins in the body. They all chelate different things, so it's not even a bad idea 1 month to get some glutathione, the next month to get some N-acetylcysteine, the next month to get lipoic acid, because they all work slightly differently. But all three of them work through the liver once again, so cleaning up your liver pathways so that when new toxins, when we're breathing it in, the liver can actually do something with it. Part of the reason we create fatty cysts in the liver is because the liver's run out of oomph. So basically it's binding the toxins with fat.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, and there's something called, it's been a while since I said this, so non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
yeah, okay.
I did it. So basically you can imagine, usually when the liver's playing up medically, the first thing doctors ask is, how much do you drink?
Yeah, wow.
Because alcohol and the liver go hand in hand. We all know that. But what isn't as easily understood as the fact that just that stuff we're breathing in, drinking, eating every day can be adding to our toxic load in our body. So I think every day of our lives we need to be doing something. Unless we're, just because we aren't living in a pure world anymore. It's just not possible.
No.
So I think doing something along those lines, so then you might get away with having your non-organic things if you're taking something on a daily basis to help to bind with these insecticides, pesticides, herbicides. Because, you know, like you've even probably heard the green apples, you know, the lovely shiny green, and I love green apples, but they've got up to 30 layers on them with waxes and coatings and all sorts of things.
Shiny, so you'll buy them.
They're beautiful. And how many of us go home and wash our apples before we eat them? Yeah, so it's one of those things that's a really good idea. You can even just use simple, you know, sort of apple cider vinegar or something in some water. Doesn't have to be much, just put a little bit in your water, get home, you know, have a cloth, especially for your veggies, wipe them all down.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope that sort of helps, Elaine. I think, you know, because quite often when you first mentioned spinach and kale to me, I was really thinking along the lines of them having high oxalic acid, which is more linked in with gout.
Yes.
So, because that's been very well known for a long, long time, that those sort of things. But once again, it can be really high doses. And depending on how healthy we are, depends on how much of these things we're having these days.
Certainly. Well, we'll go and take a break, and we'll come back very shortly after I've done some housekeeping.